Hello.
Hello.
All right. First thing I need y'all to do when you first sign in to Zoom is put your full name in chat, because that's how I take roll. I'll make this announcement several times this morning. And I usually make it at the beginning of every class. I'm still getting a few things ready to go. So please be patient with me. I shall mute myself. All right. Please be sure and put your name in chat. That's how I take roll. All right, we got 14 out of 25 students in class right now. I'll wait for a few more. Yeah. For those of you just now logging in, please make sure you put your name in chat. That is how I take roll. And someone came in while I was making that announcement. Please put your name in chat. I guess I'll wait till their audio is up and going. Yeah. Please be sure and put your name in chat. That's how I take roll. When you sign into to Zoom, that's what I expect you to do. This being a remote class, this is how I take roll. You don't sign in, you don't get count as being present. So you get counted absent. So please be sure and put your name in chat. If this was a face-to-face class, you'd be signing in on a sign-in sheet. So signing into the chat is the same as signing into a sign-in sheet. Oh, damn it, come on. Oops, let me go back to here. Okay, I got that up and running. That's really bizarre. Trying to get things set up for later on in class when we start doing the work. And my computer isn't agreeing with me right now. So, but anyway. Okay, so next thing. And the next thing is to get into here. Okay, there we go. No, just your first name, last name. Someone asked me about how you sign in. Just first name, last name. Use the name, your ACE's name. and your last name. Just first name won't do it.
Come again, sir? Can you say that one more time, please?
Say again.
Can you say that one more time? You said just the first and last name, or?
Yeah, just first name, last name.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing more. Because this is just like signing into a sign-in sheet. Okay. So that's how I take roll. Yeah. Part of the recording process of the class is that it prints up the chat, and I take the chat and I for attendance purposes, I just look at who's all signed in and take roll that way. So I don't take up class time with seeing who's here and who isn't. A number of people are doing a direct message sign in, which is fine. So I grew up in a household where everybody drank coffee. I love the smell of coffee, but I didn't care for the taste of it until about a year ago. And now I drink it 2 or 3 cups in the morning and all day. So I like my coffee. I like my tea. I like my sodas. It's all diet now because several years, what is it? 4 years now? 5 years? I don't know. Got diagnosed with diabetes, and so I have to be careful.
I found a new for sugar because I can't have a lot of sugar either. Monk fruit is actually a way better alternative.
Monk fruit. I use the stevia.
Oh yeah.
But what's interesting is if I have hot tea, I'll use honey. It's surprising that honey doesn't affect my sugars, my glucose levels. It's kind of weird. But anyway, oh, where's my phone? There it is. And something I did not make my first class of the day aware of. Once I start the lesson, I get caught up in it, and I don't always keep track of the time. Someone, the class this morning was over at 9:40, and it was coming close to 9:45 when someone had told me that I gone over. So if I go over or I'm getting close to time and I then look like I'm closing down, please tell me. Okay. Monk root. I may have heard of that. I'll look into it. Okay. Please be sure and sign into chat. Just posting into chat is not enough. I need you to typing your name, first name, last name, like it shows up in ACES. Okay. Oh, I just realized. Oh, here we go. There you go. You get to see my ugly mug. And a couple of things about me. These teeth aren't real. I have all my teeth, They're just in a plastic bag. So I have these permanent implants in my mouth now. And the ones I have in now are temporary. I get the permanent ones this beginning of March. And these fit, but they don't fit my mouth quite right. And so I whistle a lot. As my wife says, the neighborhood dogs will start barking. Because it has a fake palate up here that interferes with my tongue. So when I form words, they don't always sound right. Kind of come out as kind of mushy sound. Those who have come in late, please sign in to chat because that's how I take attendance. Please use the same name that ACES has. So that way it's easy for me to count you as present. What else was I going to say here? Oh, let me do it this way. This is let's see, still getting things set up. This is a syllabus for our course. I asked y'all to review it. And we're going to go through it here. So I'll give you a little bit more information about what's going on. Yeah, my undergrad degree is in geology. I worked out in the oil fields for about 9 months and realized that is not what I wanted. Geology was a backup plan for me. I originally wanted to become a math teacher, but I found out when you get to college, you actually have to study. I got through high school making A, B's, and C's without really cracking a book. But when I got to college, it was a different story, and I wasn't ready for it. And so I went back to school when I hit in my early 30s, and I picked up all my math hours out at UTSA. Part of that was where I learned the importance of a study group. I highly encourage people to have a study group. Okay. My grades at UTSA were 5 to 10 points higher with the group than if I didn't have the group. While I was at UTSA, I only made 3 C's. And this was I think around 56 hours of mathematics courses, sophomore level up to senior level mathematics. And adjust that a little bit. And 3 of the classes, complex numbers and stats 1 and 2. I did not have my group with me when I took those courses, and I made C's in those 3 courses. If I had my crew with me, I would have made at least a B in the stats classes, and I would have made an A in the complex variable course. So I went from being an D through A student, like at Trinity. Well, I made an F in a couple of courses at Trinity, simply because I didn't break open a book. But at UTSA, my lowest grade was a C, and so I went from a low performing student to a high performing student. One of the first math courses I took at UTSA, Foundations of Mathematics, which was a pure analysis class. When you see an analysis class, that means you prove things. they give theorems in class and then they ask you to prove things. And so I made an A in that class. So yeah, and that was the only class I had that professor in, but I so impressed him. Yeah, I'm tooting my own horn. I so impressed him that every time I ran into him, we lost an hour of time just talking. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But I'd run into him at a grocery store I used to shop at, and my wife would say, "Who'd you run into this time?" So, but yeah, I can't tell you that I can't stress the importance of having a group, a study group. One of the advantages you have here is you're asking questions and people are helping you with the answer, and you're answering questions other people have. And in the process of explaining yourself, you're getting a better understanding of what's going on in the material. Okay. So that's what I got out of it. I got out of it. The more I got out of it was after someone explained something to me, I explained it back to them. I didn't just say, okay, I got it. I said, okay, this is how I understand it. And so I'd tell it how I understood it. And then they would correct anything I had misstated or misunderstood. And so that process of give and take really expanded my understanding of mathematics and expanded my ability to study and to understand things and to explain things. So it made that's one thing that helped me become a better teacher, was to be able to explain things in more than one way. So yeah, here's the experience. I taught for 19 years secondary education. I started teaching down in Pearsall. I taught at Mark Twain Middle School here in San Antonio. That was probably one of my second worst teaching experience, was teaching middle school. I taught at East Central for a year. That was a mistake. And I taught at Pearsall Poteet for 8 years. Poteet was very good to me. Poteet is one reason I was able to get my master's of math at Incarnate Word. They handed me a paper that talked about a grant program that would pay for half of a master's degree, and so I jumped at it. And then yeah, Poteet was wonderful, and I left Poteet to go to Southside because Southside was a little bit closer to home, and I was ready to move on. And I was at Southside for 5 years, which was 4 years too long. It had nothing to do with the students, had everything to do with the administration. And then I was able to start teaching at SAC. I taught at SAC for 8 years, and I was able to hook up with PAC because they offered me a full-time temp position. A full-time temp is an adjunct who gets full-time schedules by semester. So if they can't give me a full-time, then they give me part-time. So that I just have, like last spring, I had been given, I think, 6 classes. 2 or 3 of them, no, I given 5 classes. 2 of them disappeared because of low attendance because of COVID. And 2 of them disappeared because 2 full-time professors weren't making their 15 hours. So they took them away. If you're adjunct, you could lose your classes. So there was a real possibility I could have gotten no classes last spring. So I went from a full-time temp to just an adjunct last spring. And so I'm back to being full-time last semester and this semester. So nice thing about being full-time is I get benefits. So I'm insured. All right. And let me see, what else? Okay. This is my contact information. My email. It says here, email me through ACES, gets me that you sent me an email faster because I get a text message. But go ahead and use Canvas to talk to me. If it's really important, email me in both places, both in Canvas and in through ACES. ACES will send me a text message, but I do most of my communicating with y'all through the Canvas email. Canvas email is more secure than the ACES email. Because you have to be in Canvas to get into the email system. With ACES, people, you get that spam crap going on and whatever. What else was I going to say there about that? Oh, so I can set up a Zoom meeting at any time. It doesn't have to be during my regular office hours, which I haven't posted my office hours yet. So I've had I started out with 6 classes. Now I have 5 classes. And so I have to reschedule my office hours. And the textbook you get through MyLab. And MyLab you get through Alamo Books over here. Some of y'all have tried to get into Alamo Books, right? You've tried this link over here. And this is what shows up. Well, this is what shows up for me. I don't know what shows up for y'all. Oh, you stupid machine. Come on. Oh, no. Okay. Now you're mad at me. It's going again.
I tried to get the book and it's asking for a code.
No, it shouldn't. Well, yeah. No, it's not working right because once it gets up and I'm able to go, I haven't even created the MyLab classes yet for you because I have to do it through them. So yeah, all right, I'm just gonna, I cuss a lot, so, and I try not to because I have college students. I mean, I have high school students in some of my classes. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think I sent out an email concerning it through the Canvas email here. So as soon as it's up and running, and I've created the class, it doesn't take me long to create the class. All I have to do is copy it over from another course I have. And it'll be good to go. So, and I'll send an announcement. I'll create an announcement. As a matter of fact, that's how I do a lot of my communicating is through announcements, as well as I'll email you what I just put in the announcements. I'm going to put in the announcements the code, the Zoom link for my office Zoom and my and the passcode for it as well. All right, the textbook is the Pre-Calculus by Michael Sullivan. Is the same textbook we use for the College Algebra 1414. So you should be familiar with this textbook already if you've took College Algebra at PAC. We're going to be covering chapters 6, 7, and part of 8. I think we cover, I think there's section 6, 7, but I'm not too sure. I can't remember if this is all the sections from those 2 chapters or not. I think there's a couple of things we don't cover from chapter 6 and a couple of things and 1 or 2 things we don't cover from chapter 7. Chapter 8, I think there's 5 sections, maybe 6 sections to chapter 8, but we only cover the first 3. When I first started teaching at PAC, pre-calculus also used to cover polar coordinates and conics. So we'll see if, but we don't cover those here. Although I think they're a lot of fun, but that's me. All right. This is a description of the course, just basically tells you what the course generally covers. And here are the outcomes. These are sometimes referred to as the SLOs, student learning outcomes. And these 3 chapters cover these 6 outcomes. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of requirements for the course. During the first week, what you're expected to do: attend class. Okay, so boom, you've done this part, so you don't have to worry about that. Signing into MyLab is going to be yeah, I'm going to push this back. As soon as I'm able to get it open, I'll put in new dates here. Completing the syllabus acknowledgement form. All right, the syllabus acknowledgement form is in Files. You click Files, and then you click syllabus acknowledgement form. And you can either download it or do a copy and paste. You just highlight all this stuff. I can't make it do that. Oh, there we go. And you just copy and paste this into an email, and then restate it in an email saying that you have read and understood the course syllabus. And this is my acknowledgement. Or you say, this is my acknowledgement that I read and understood the course syllabus for this math course. So that's an easy thing to do. So basically doing this, those will take you a total of 5 minutes or less to do that. So being here in class, which, oh, so we're only missing 1 person now. So we got 25 people in class. If you have not put your name in the chat, please do so now. First name, last name, as it shows on in your ACES. So just showing up takes care of that part. And this part, you can do it very quickly. Just remember to do it. Grounds for yes. Someone have a question or something? No? Okay. Grounds for withdrawal from this course. I expect you to be current with your homework. By current, that means if we finish a section, well, we won't finish it today, but if we finish a section today, then by next class time, I've expected you to be at least started it. Maybe not finish it, but at least start it. And so by the end of the weekend, you've done all the sections we've covered that week. All right, so that's what I mean by being current. So But if you get 5 or more assignments behind in the homework, then that's grounds for being withdrawn from the course. I can talk myself blue, which I very often do because I love talking and I love talking about math, and pre-calculus is a lot of fun for me. But that's not going to get you to understand the material. That's just me presenting the material so you can get a basic understanding of the terms and how things operate. How you really understand the material and where you really learn it is by doing it. And that's why you have homework, so you can do the material and learn and learn and learn. And so, how my math works, how it operates is, if you think you can do better, like you get an 80 on the homework and you think you can do better, then do it. Because what I get is the highest grade you get. So you won't get penalized for doing the homework 10 times to get 100 on it. Okay, which is, I had a student one time, this is at University of Phoenix here in town. I had a student one time who did that to get 100 on every single homework assignment. So he went in there and did them at least twice. If not, he did one homework assignment, he did 20 times before he got that 100. So yeah, you can work it. So you have an unlimited number of times to attempt a homework assignment. While you're working the homework assignment, you have 3 tries on each problem. After the 3rd try, and you don't get it correct, it'll just mark it wrong and give you the next problem. Now, you can go back and take the assignment again to pick that one back up again. So, but you have to take the whole assignment again. So it's just it's a trade-off of, do you want to do all that work for one problem, or are you happy with what you got? Well, and my issue here, what I'm saying is, did you understand how to do it? You know, it's not so much the grade you're getting, it's, do you understand how to do it? All right. Attendance. If you miss 4 days, 4 days is equivalent to 2 weeks worth of material you're missing from me. Okay. Now, I'm recording these and I'm going to post them in a YouTube channel I've yet to create yet, so you can go back and view them again. Reviewing them again, or reviewing them because you missed class, is not the same as being in class. Okay. Y'all have seen those tutorials, and you can't ask questions. Go, well, what about that? Or what about this? And you can't ask me that because it's already gone. Yeah, you can shoot me off an email and come to me in my Zoom office, but that's not the same as being in class. So missing 4 days worth of class is, well, at first we start talking about why you're missing class and what can be done so it doesn't happen again. Exam, if you miss 2 or more exams, boom, you're out. There's no discussion about it. If you miss 1 exam, we need to have a discussion to find out what's going on and why you missed that class. I had one person, well, I don't think I stayed in here. Oh, I don't. Okay. How I calculate your grade, well, I'll discuss that right here. Yeah. The exam average is 65% of your grade. However, you're going to have 4 exams at the end of the semester, right? Including the final. Now, if the final is higher than the lowest test grade, I'm going to remove that test grade and use the final and the 2 higher exam grades to calculate your that 65%. And your final is still worth 25% of your grade. So your final could be twice, used twice. Now, oh, and that grade, I didn't put it in here, but that grade on your final, only up to 80%. So if you made a 90 on the final, I can only use it up to an 80 to replace your lowest test grade. So if your lowest test grade is an 80 or above, then I don't do it. Okay, because the highest I can use your test grade is up to an 80 on your using your final. All right, so if you made under an 80 on one of your exams, then it will become an 80 if your final is higher than that grade. I didn't say it right. If you made a 70 something on your final and still higher than your lowest test grade, then that final grade will replace it. But if your final is above an 80, then that lowest test grade becomes an 80. Okay. I had y'all face to face. I could tell if everybody was getting this concept or not. But anyway,
Hello?
and then there,
Oh,
yes.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but so like you said, if you have like a lower test grade and your final ends up being higher than your lowest test grade, you replace the final with the lowest test grade, so you'll score the final twice. Am I correct?
Yes.
So what if you have like a low final grade? Will that
No,
just fix?
that won't. This is only to help your grade. If it hurts your grade, I'm not going to do it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if your lowest test grade was a 65 and your final was a 75, then that lowest test grade becomes a 75. If your lowest test grade was a 65 and your final grade was an 85, then that lowest test grade is now an 80.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put that in here when I talk about down here with because I didn't talk about how my grades are calculated, the exam, how this grade is calculated. It's the exam average, but I didn't talk about how it's created. Let's see. Yeah, and the final is comprehensive. So everything from day one to day last is free game for the final. I will tell you this, if you do not see it on an exam during the course, it will not be on the final. If you have not been tested over it, it will not show up on the final. All right. I might make some exceptions of that, but you will be forewarned. Okay. I do a review day, the class day before the exams. I will give out a review the Friday or Saturday before the review day. Most of my review days will be on Tuesdays, so your exam will be on a Thursday. So that means Friday or Saturday, the week before, you'll get the review it'll be under files, because in files here there'll be a folder here for reviews and exams. There'll be a folder here for and inside that folder there will be more folders: exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, final. So you'll have those 4 folders inside the review and exams folder. So I just like to keep everything separate. And then there'll be another folder in here about handouts, and that's where I'll put in stuff like, well, like this. The syllabus acknowledgement form will end up being put in there. There'll be formula charts. There'll be example problems, and those kinds of things will be in the handouts. And so there'll be other things in there. Let me go back to this. Okay. Now, homework is assigned through MyLab once I can get it up and running. It'll be there. Last semester, we had a horrible experience with RedShelf. My pre-calculus classes last semester weren't able to get into it, and some of my other classes weren't able to get into the MyLab until about 2 weeks into the semester. And there are some people who still weren't able to get into it, or didn't get in, I should say, didn't get into it. It wasn't that they couldn't, it's just that they didn't. So, and getting behind on the homeworks is grounds for being dropped from the course, so don't get behind. So once it's up and going, it shouldn't be a problem getting in there and staying with the homework. You need to spend, for every hour of class time, you need to spend about 2 to 3 hours doing homework and studying. So, you are responsible for keeping current with the homework. When I finish a section, that's when it's done. That's when it's assigned. Okay. Once MyLab is up and you go in there, you'll see all of the assignments from day 1 to day last. So all those section assignments will be put up there. So if you're done with a homework assignment and you want to work ahead, go for it. Okay. I had one person who did that last semester, and he had bunches of questions during class because he needed to understand, because he couldn't do the homework. So he wanted to know. So I would answer his questions during class, so which is great. I need to come back to that after a little bit. Students are expected to ask questions if they have issues with assignments. Because if you don't ask, I'll get to it now. If you don't ask a question, how are you going to understand it? If I write something down on the screen and you don't understand what I wrote, how do you expect to be able to do the homework? Because you didn't understand the concept to begin with. Okay, so ask questions. Ask me questions. Ask your fellow students questions. Oh yeah, up to 15 points. I'll get to that in a moment. Yeah, they say there's no stupid questions. Well, there is a stupid question. It's the one you don't ask. Okay, you don't ask a question, guess what? You're clueless. It adds to the confusion. So when more gets heaped onto you, more is added to the confusion because you didn't ask a simple question at the beginning. You simply misunderstood what I said or what I wrote down, or what I wrote down wasn't clear enough for you. So you need to ask me so I can clarify things so you understand. That's what I'm here for, is to make sure you understand this well enough so you can pass the class. So you have to ask me questions. Okay, you don't have to ask them in class. You don't have to unmute yourself and ask the question. You can type it into the chat and then make sure I see it. By drawing my attention to that there's a question in chat, you can either direct message me or you can do it like Brian did and just did so everyone can read it. Okay. If you do a direct message, that means you don't want your name to be known, to be associated with the question, which is fine. And I won't embarrass you by saying so-and-so doesn't understand this, so we're going to explain it. No, I said, someone asked about this. And so I go through and I do it. And I explain it, because that's what I'm here for. I mean, my job is twofold. Well, threefold, actually. Well, the first thing is to present the material. The second thing is to make sure you understand it by answering your questions. And the third thing is to test you over it, make an assessment. So that's, I can only do the second part if you ask questions. Okay. And by asking questions, I mean making a comment. Please be aware of the fact I'm human and I make mistakes. I will change minus signs to plus signs all the time. And sometimes I make a plus sign become a minus sign. If you notice that I do that, please point it out to me when I do it. I had a student once, I had a class one semester that where the chalkboard took up the entire front. I mean, it was a freaking wide classroom. So it was a wide chalkboard. And I started this problem. It was a messy fraction that I was going to simplify down, and so we could solve it quite simply. And it comes out with nice numbers, nice integer numbers. And I started working it, and it started looking more and more complicated and getting more and more ugly. And it got to a point where I said, well, I did something wrong. And someone in the back said, well, Mr. Reed, at the very beginning, you changed that minus sign to a plus sign. I was mad at myself for making the mistake and not noticing it. But I was mad at the student for not telling me that I made the mistake when I made it. Because I wasted everybody's time and added to everybody's confusion by working a problem that wasn't the problem. I changed the problem on myself without fixing it. So I won't be offended. I won't be angry with you if I say it's 79, I wrote down 23. That has happened. Believe me, it has happened. 89 and 98 in my head are the same number. I will see the number 89. I'll say 80. What did I say? I'll see the number 89. I'll write down 98. Or I'll say one number and I'll write down a totally different number. Please be aware that I do that. And if I do it, don't hesitate to say, Mr. Reed, is that right? Or Mr. Reed, you wrote it wrong. I won't be upset. I'll be more upset if I go through an entire problem and someone points it out to me then. So it's a failing I have that I've been working real hard not to do, but it still happens. So yeah. So ask questions, make comments, point out things. Okay. So asking you questions. All right. So now I'm going to move on here. The average of the homework will be used as makeup points for each exam. I do not use homework grades in calculating your final grade. I do use the completion rate, and that's here. Homework completion. All right. That doesn't mean the completion rate means I call it the completion rate, but it's homework attempted. Whether you finish or not for this rate is irrelevant. So, okay. All right, someone asked, how do we turn in the syllabus and how do we sign into MyLab? MyLab isn't there yet, so you can't. I will email and put an announcement when you're able to get in there. They're working on it. I just got emails from my department head this morning about MyLab. And so they're working on it. And then to turn in the syllabus, just send it to me in an email. Okay. Either you write in an email that basically acknowledging that you've read and understood what's going on in the syllabus, and this is my acknowledgement of it, and then send it to me. Or you can download that, sign it, and then send it as an attachment to me, either in Canvas or ACES. I prefer the Canvas at this point in time. I used to prefer ACES, but Canvas is easier for me to get in and out of these days. Okay. So the completion rate, so at the end of the semester, you've only gone into 90% of the homeworks. Well, then that's a 90% for that. You've only done 50% of them, or you've only gone into 50% of them. Then that's what that is. I had last semester, I had several people, more than 5, who didn't do any work in MyLab. So they got a 0, so they would get a 0 for it. Okay. And please realize any work is positive work. All right. Now, the percentage of the homework completed attempted. All right, so the homework is vital to understand material and doing well in the exams. That's I can't tell you, but by past experience, and I need to go through and start pulling those numbers out and do my own study on it. By the numbers that I've seen in my classroom, the people who do not keep up with the homework do poorly on exams. That's just the God honest truth. They're there every day in class, but their understanding the material is very low because they're not practicing the material. So your understanding the material happens when you do the homework. So that's where you actually learn things, is when you're doing the homework. Mathematics is not a spectator sport. I don't know how many of y'all had high school math teachers who had a banner across their room that said mathematics is not a spectator sport. What that means is you can't learn math without doing math. And is very real. That was my downfall the first time through college, is I didn't do the homework, so I wasn't understanding the material. So I did poorly on the exams. I failed out of a couple of math classes, which is why I switched over to geology, because that was easy. I could learn it without opening a book. So, well, anyway, kind of learn it. I was a C student. Well, actually, I think my grade point was 2.1. When I graduated Trinity, I had a 2.1 grade average. I wasted my parents' money. Yeah. So my semesters at UTSA, my grade point average there was a 3.3, 3.5. So it was close to a 3.5. It was over a 3 point. So, and that showed that I had matured enough to be able to focus and learn and crack a book and study. And I have my study group that helped me. Okay, and let me see, I got lost. My wife just recently my wife buys me all my t-shirts. She just recently bought me a teacher that said on it, I go off on tangents. And the picture on there was a graph of a graph with a tangent line touching it. So that's, yeah, that's me. both the mathematics and the fact I go off on tangents. You'll find out how badly it happens during class. Okay. These dates, I've already finalized them. I just haven't put them in the syllabus yet. And this I don't know yet because I don't have the final schedule, the schedule for the final exams. Now, as far as the exams are concerned, no makeups for missed exams. Now, it says in general. Now, if you know you're going to be absent on the day of an exam, email me and we'll discuss it, okay? Even up to the day, okay? If something happens and you're pulled out of town or something happened that makes it impossible for you to take the exam, email me and we'll discuss it. If we have time before the exam, we'll discuss it then, but if we, or after. So we will discuss it and set up a time for you to take the makeup. Makeups will not happen during class time. Just need to be, it's important that I state that. So missing 2 or more exams are grounds for withdrawal from the course. If you miss 2 exams, there's no way you're going to be able to pass this class. No way, none. Missing, well, I can't say that. I had a student make a C in my class because he made hundreds on the 2 exams he did take, the 3rd exam and the final. He made hundreds, literally 100 on each of those exams. So his exam average was a 70 or high enough that his grade for the course was a 75 or something like that. So it is possible, but very difficult to pass if you miss 2 exams. If you miss 1 exam, well, the final will replace that missing exam. So it is possible to pass the class if you just miss 1 exam, but missing 2 or more, if you miss 3 exams, forget it. So I just put that in there that if you miss 2 or more exams, I can drop you. But we'll have before I drop anybody, we always have a discussion about it, okay? So that just doesn't mean that grounds for withdrawal doesn't mean, okay, boom, you're gone. It means we have a discussion and we decide together whether you should continue or not. The average of the homework prior to each exam will replace 15 points missed on the exam up to an 80. So if you made under an 80 on an exam, the way I look at it, I took this from another professor. We used to discuss this, and I kind of agree with his assessment. If you make an 80 or above on a homework on exams, and you've been doing the homework, that means the homework did its job. All right, doing the homework, I guarantee, almost guarantees you a grade of 80 or better on the exam, doing your homeworks. If you make under an 80 and you've done your homeworks for that exam, now, if you don't do a homework, then that's a 0, even though MyLab doesn't calculate unfinished homework as a 0 or unattempted assignments as a 0. For this, I do. I put in 0s if you don't try an exam, if you don't try a homework. So any grade is a benefit. So let's say you made a 65 or a 75, you made a 75 on the homework on the exam. Okay. And on the homework, you made an average of a 90. So 90% of 15 points is 13.5. So I'll round that up to a 14. So I'll add up to 14 points to your test grade. So you made a 75. Well, 14 points on 75. What does that make it? Well, that brings it up to over a 90, right? But I top it off at an 80. So that 75 becomes an 80. Right? If you made a 65, then that 14 points, what does that bring it up to? A 79. So you made a 79 as opposed to a 65. All right. Now, there are 3 grades that I look at with an exam. You have the raw score. That's simply what you made based on how many points you lost. Okay. All right. When for exams, I better tell this to you right now. For the exam, except for certain types of problems, each problem on an exam is worth 10 points. So if you have 9 problems on a test, it's worth 90 points. If you have 15 problems on a test, then the test is worth 150 points. And I rescale it down to a 100-point scale. Okay. For Canvas, for your grade in the grade book. So I look at the work you do. So if you got the wrong answer, well, then I look to see why you got the wrong answer. So you have to show me all your work. So if you didn't show me any work, then I'll give you a point for putting an answer down. So you lost 9 points for not showing me your work. If I look through your work and all you did was put down the wrong sign, or you added at the end, you added instead of subtracted, or instead of multiplying, then I'll take off a point or 2. So you only lose 1 or 2 points as opposed to 9 points. Okay. So minor mistakes, sometimes I like if it's a sign change and everything else is correct, chances are I won't take off a point. But depending upon how severe the mistake is, I give out a rubric of telling you what about this, about how I determine how many points you lose if you get it incorrect. Just giving me the correct answer is not enough. If you just give me the correct answer, that's only worth 2 points. If you give me a correct answer and the work the work you give me doesn't support the answer you give me, then that's 2 points. The work shows kind of works, but it doesn't show me everything you need. It skips major parts or something. So there's a rubric and I'll post the rubric in files, so you'll have that. Okay. So in this course, all your exams will be through Canvas. So your camera must be on during the exam. All right. I prefer that you have, like today, I haven't said anything about it, but I prefer everybody to have their camera on during class time, because I get a feel for how people are responding to the material. Sometimes I'll notice people they're not getting it simply by facial expressions or attitude or whatever towards the screen. So I can ask questions about it, so I can make sure people are understanding what's going on. So I like cameras on. That's why I prefer in person. Excuse me a second. This is my, yeah, you can't see it, my Big Bubba. a half gallon. Anyway. So now attendance, even though daily attendance is taken, it's not used as a grade. It's used as a guide to tell me, is this person serious about this or not? So if you're showing up to class every day, but at the end of the class period, it's just you and me and everybody else is gone, I'm going, well, why are you still here? Well, chances are it's because you've gotten up and walked away from the screen, or you have it on mute and you haven't realized that the class is over, because you're doing other things. That is something that's telling me that, yeah, you're not actively involved in this. That's why I like people to be on camera, so I could see that you're actively involved here. And that affects my attitude towards, well, you made an 89. I don't like to give out 89s and 79s. 99s, I'm not, fuck it. You just got the 99. Okay. But an 89 or a 79, 69, yeah, I can fudge the point. I can give you that point, because you've been in class every day, and I can see that you've been active in it. So that's probably your participation grade, is me giving credit, even though your grade isn't there. So, all right, now this is I guess the term is boilerplate material, the institutional policies. Please be sure and read through these. Early alert and intervention. This is something that happens with every single class. There's early alert at the end of 2 weeks. We send out an early alert, or is it 3 weeks? I can't remember. An early alert. And it's just a heads up that it says the pathway you're taking puts you at risk of failing. Okay, it doesn't say that you are failing. It just says that if things continue the way they are, it looks like you'll probably fail this class. So let's have a conversation. So if you do get an early alert from me, send me an email and we'll talk about it. It could be just, and for the first early alert, all I have to go on is your homework grades. So your first early alert is solely based on your homework. If you're in there doing your homework, and I see you're doing your homework, and I see you're trying to stay up and current with everything, I don't care what the average is. You're in there doing the homework, and you're trying to stay current, and you're trying to keep your grade up in those homeworks. Then you won't get an early alert. If you're in there and your grade is below a 30 on every homework, you're just going in there and just doing enough to show that you're going into the homeworks, then you might get an early alert because you're not doing very much of the homework, and you're not understanding some material, and so maybe you need to be asking questions. And so that's what the early alert will reflect, that yeah, you're at risk and you need to be more involved, basically. And that's basically what I use early alerts for. Yeah, you're not involved enough. Participation isn't there, or you're not completing work. So, and by completing work, that means you're going in there and trying to stay current and trying to keep your grades up in your homeworks. So the 6-drop rule, that has to do with, yeah, you can read through that. You're allowed up to 6 drops. After that, you're not allowed to drop any more classes. And then repeating a course, a 3-peat rule. If you take a class a 3rd time or more, then you have to pay full tuition for that class. access credit rule. Be very careful of this, although you're not affected by it directly. If you're going to end up going to a 4-year institution and you take more than 30 hours above the suggested number of hours for that degree plan, then you get what is that? What is it? You get increased tuition pay. You have to pay more. So just be aware of that. Yeah, especially for those who are going to end up going for their bachelor's degree. And then responsibility for success, engagement, communication, academic success, self-responsibility and responsibility to others, textbook availability. For this course, you already paid for the textbook and it's in MyLab. Once it's up and running, you'll have full access to the textbook. You can download the chapters or you can just look at them online when you can. And then the concealed campus carry. It's a good idea not to bring a gun on campus. It's just more problems are caused than solved. Disciplinary sanctions. Yeah. And I think that has to do with the gun stuff. And then college Title IX policy, incomplete grades. I've only had a handful of people over the years who had incompletes. And one of them is the guy just flat out disappeared off the face of the earth. And another one got sick and wasn't able to complete, and he just didn't worry about it. And I've had like one person last semester, she had health issues, and so I'm still needing to get back with her. She hasn't gotten back with me, so I need to fix that. And yeah, so, and then there's other things here that you need to go through and be aware of for your own sense of well-being and peace of mind. And yeah. Okay, any questions that I haven't answered for you so far?
No, sir.
Okay, let me pull this, see if it'll come up for me now. Yeah, I see the little thing bouncing back and forth. But I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, I used to have a progress bar sometimes, but this one doesn't. Let's stop it and do it again. See if that'll do it. There it goes. All right, all right. I don't know what'll show up on your screen, but for me, it shows reveal access code, and I don't get something. And you might get an access code. It's useless. This doesn't get you into the class. Once they fix it on their end, I will be able to create the class, the MyLab class for you, so you'll be able to get in there. But yeah, I'm the instructor, so you get to see all my stuff. Now, see down here where it says launch courseware, that's what's supposed to show up. Okay, this is for my college algebra class, and I'm just going to show you what happens. It'll show up, and since I've already created this class, this is what shows up, and then you just. But once before you've made your signed into the course, it'll show there'll be you won't have this button, there'll be a different button down here, which will be set up your account or set up the class or whatever. And you click on that and go in and do all the registering for the class. And once you get in, I don't know how many of y'all have done this. Have y'all been in MyLab before? Okay. This is basically what shows up. Well, no, this isn't. This is my view. Student home view. Here we go. This is a student home view. And what I suggest you do, instead of going out what assignments are due or past due or current, I just go over here to assignments here, click there, and it'll show every single assignment. And so, yeah, this class, which I haven't met yet, they meet at 2 o'clock today. All the assignments from the beginning to the end are there. So they have 21 assignments. Actually, 4 of them are informational stuff and helpful stuff. But y'all won't have those. You'll just have starting with 6.1 and all the way down to 9 to 8.3 will be listed here. Okay. It'll tell you how many times you've worked at it and what your highest score was. You worked on it 2 times or 3 times. And what they'll show here is your highest grade. And that's what I get in my grade book, is the highest grade from here. So my thing here, can I click grade book? What'll show up here, okay, I've had 2 people in there already. And when I look at my assignments, when I look at my grade book, it only shows me your highest grade. Now I can go in here, technically I shouldn't do it, but if I click this person's name, it'll show me what their highest grade is. It'll show me how many times they attempted it. And if I click the highest grade, it'll show me that assignment. Okay. So I can go through and I can see what grades they've made to make that highest grade. So their highest grade was an 83. The first time they attempted it, they made a 23. And the second time they attempted it, they made a 70. Well, the first time they attempted it, probably they tried it before we went through anything in the classroom. The second time they went through it, they didn't get everything 100%. And so the second time through, they picked up, they had a better understanding what was going on. So let me go back to the menu. Okay. So let me come down here. No, let me do my course tools. Look at assignment manager. Actually, if I did it from the main screen, yeah, let me do it from the main screen. Once the class gets up and I click, I can go through here, show all the assignments, and I can just click here and I'll go in and do the assignments. I can, so if you have questions for an assignment, please, a question number, which question is it? Because when you pull it up this way, I don't know, can you see it? Or did the pop-up show?
No, there's no pop-up.
Okay. So let me do it this way, just very quickly, and do this again. So this is the pop-up screen that showed up when I clicked that one question. It'll tell you what the question is here, but when you, let me see, where is it? Get more help. When you say click here, it says ask my instructor. It will send me an email. It'll give me all the information about this problem. It'll show me the problem. It'll tell me what your last answer was. Or it will tell me what section the book is from and what, like this 1.1.55, that's first chapter, first section, problem number 56 from the homework exercises in the book. But it won't tell me it was question 10 in MyLab. So when you do this, tell me which question problem it is from my homework. Because what are they asking for? What's the domain? Yeah, I know what the domain is. So now I'm going to close that, leave the page. Oh no. So let me go back to here. Okay, so that's what's happening with that. Uh-oh, my courses. All right, I created these two courses for my college for the pre-calculus, and that's what I'm going to copy over once I created it. So I've already created the courses. There's just no way for you to access them. So because I have to create the courses through here. Okay. So once I create it through here, then you'll be able to access the courses. What else? What else? What else? Oh, I spent so much time talking about this. We're not going to have time to do much in the PowerPoint. But let me go ahead and set that up so y'all can see how I'm going to do this. So it takes me a little bit to set this up. And here we go again. Let me do screen share. Oh, advanced screen share. Portion of the screen. And here is where I do all my explaining over here. Okay. And here's the PowerPoint that we go through. I didn't mention this to my previous class. I haven't done this yet. In under files, this PowerPoint will be put there. So under handouts, I'll create a folder called handouts, and I'll put the PowerPoint in there. And it will be see, it says slide 1 of 460. So there's 460 slides in this PowerPoint, which means when we get to slide 460, the course will be done. We'll have covered everything. Right? So you'll have all the PowerPoint slides available to you. You'll have all the homework assignments available to you this week, hopefully. And so, yeah. So if you want to work ahead and try and understand things straight from the PowerPoint, great, good, go for it. If you want to review the PowerPoints before class time, good, great, do it, go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So section 1, 6.1 talks about angles, what are angles and how we define them and all like that. And what arc length is and what circular motion is and how we define those and how we find those. And there's a little bit more involved with the arc length, not just arc length. And so here are the objectives for this section. Angles and degree measure. We're going to talk about what is an angle, what constitutes an angle, and how we look at them in mathematics and how we define them in mathematics. What degree measure is and how we look at it. Then we're going to convert from the decimal form of degrees and the degree, minute, and second measures for angle. We're going to find the length of an arc. Yeah, we have a circle, and we always deal with central angles. Central angles have their vertex on the center of the circle. So this is the angle, and this is the arc for that angle. And what's that length of that arc? Well, it's a part of the circle. It's a portion of the circle. How long is that portion of the circle? Okay, you know the entire circle is 2 pi r. So what is this portion? And we'll discuss that when we get to it. Okay. And then we're going to convert from degrees to radians and radians to degrees. We have, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me just leave this here. Yeah, one complete revolution of a circle is 360 degrees. It is also known as 2 pi radians. Radians deals with how many pi units, and degrees deal with degrees. So one circle, an angle that goes completely around is 360 degrees, or 2 pi radians, or 6.28 radians. Okay, and so we're going to be able to convert from degrees to radians by using this knowledge that these are equal. We'll create 2 different unit circles, one unit fractions. One is to convert to multiply degrees to make it into radians, and the other one is to multiply the radians to make it into degrees. A unit circle, I don't know if you're familiar with that term. A unit fraction. Unit fraction is when the numerator and denominator are in different units, but the measures are the same. Like 3 feet per 1 yard, that's a unit fraction. 3/1 is the unit fraction for feet to yards. If it yards to feet, then it's 1 yard to 3 feet. That's another unit fraction, because because the size of the numerator is the same as the size in the denominator, so that creates the number 1. That creates 1. And a unit fraction is unitless. The only reason we keep the units there is because we're going to multiply the number of yards by this to find the number of feet, or we're going to multiply the number of feet by this one to find out the number of yards. And so we're going to do something similar with degrees and radians. All right, and then find the area of a sector. All right, we had that picture of a arc, and the length of this arc is the length of the arc length, but that's part of the circle. Now, the part of the volume in here, it's like cutting a piece out of a piece of pie. So this piece of the pie is the sector. So it's a portion of the area. So what portion of the area is it? So that's the formula we're going to use. We'll get to that. And then we talk about linear speed of an object traveling in circular motion. So if you're swinging something in the air, how fast is it going? So if you were to find out how fast it's going at any one point along the round there, that's its linear speed. Because if you let go of it, then it's going to be traveling at that speed. Okay. Now, you got about 10, 15 minutes left here. Okay. So now we're going to be talking about definitions now. So we have a ray going that way, and another ray that's attached to it going in a different direction. So we're going to call this the initial side, because this is an angle is motion. It's a motion of degree or a motion of radians. Okay. So the initial side is where the angle starts at. If the angle doesn't move, then it's at 0 degrees. But it does move, then it moves up here to the terminal side. Terminal side. Now, we have two directions to go. We could go counterclockwise, which is positive. Yeah, I have horrible handwriting, if you haven't noticed already. I do. So if you can't read something I've written, please let me know. And they're calling this one theta. I mean, calling it alpha. So alpha is positive. But if we go clockwise, so if we go this way instead and still wind up at the same terminal side, and they're calling this one beta. So here we have alpha is positive, and here we have beta, and so that means these are Greek letters. Beta is negative. But they both have the same terminal side. And because they both have the same terminal side, then we things that happen to it in trigonometry are going to be the exact same thing. And then they have a third one. I'm going to draw a different picture here for that one, because this one's getting messy already. So instead of just stopping here, what if we go around more than once and we come back over to here, and they're going to use gamma. This is gamma, Greek letter gamma. Okay. This one is counterclockwise, so it's still positive. Gamma is positive in this case. And if I had gone counterclockwise and still passed, did it more than once around, then that's a negative angle, but it's still winding up at the same terminal side. So though all of those angles, okay, all of those angles are basically the same angle. It's just what direction are you going and how many times around do you go? One's dealing with, one way of looking at it is the distance traveled. And another way of looking at it is just where do you end up? Doesn't matter how long it, what if I went around 25 times before I wound up there? Well, mathematically, it doesn't matter. It's all the same as doing alpha. Just going straight there in the positive direction. So now an angle in standard position. Let's look at angle in standard position. Then we're going to be looking at the coordinate system with the X and Y axes. And the vertex of the angle is on the origin. It's at 0, 0. And the initial side is the positive x-axis. And so, let me change this. So if I'm going to try and copy theirs. So now here's my terminal side. So I can either go this way, or if my angle is down here and I go this way, then they talk about, this is what the symbol we usually use for angles. And this is another Greek letter, and it is known as theta. You know, previously they used alpha and beta, and we use those as well. When we start getting into the trig identities, we use alpha and beta quite a bit. But if we're just talking about an angle, and we don't have other angles to associate with it, then we just use theta. In this case, theta is positive. Okay, whoa. Positive. And in this case, theta would be negative. So I drew the two examples on the one picture. Whoops. Uh-oh. This will happen every now and again, so just bear with me. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. All right. So when I talk about angles and I start drawing angles, I'll draw the XY coordinates, and then I'll draw the angle based on that, because that's what we do in math. Okay. So now, whoops. Here we go. Now, if you remember from Algebra 1, you had your XY coordinates, and then you had the quadrants. The two axes divide the coordinate plane into 4 sections, and each section is called a quadrant. And so the first quadrant, and we always use Roman numerals when we number them. The first quadrant is there, the second quadrant is still upstairs, and down below it's quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. All right, so the numbering went counterclockwise, just like the angles go counterclockwise. And depending upon where the terminal side ends up, tells us which quadrant the angle is in. So if the angle is a 45-degree angle, then it is a first quadrant angle. If the angle is 135 degrees, then it's a second quadrant angle. If the angle is a negative 135, then it's a third quadrant angle. And if the angle, well, they showed this one being, well, I'm going to go this way. Well, no, I'll go negative as well. So we have this angle here, which is a negative 45 degrees. It's a fourth quadrant angle. Now, if the angle winds up on one of the coordinate axes, so if your angle didn't move off of the x-axis, it's 0 degrees, it's a quadrantial angle. If it's a 90-degree angle, then it's a quadrantial angle because it winds up on one of the axes. If the terminal side is on the negative side of the x-axis, then it's 180 degrees, then that's a quadrantial angle. And if it winds up on the negative y-axis, the terminal side, then that's a 270 degrees or a negative 90 degrees. That's a quadrantial angle. So you have quadrantial angles and you have quadrant angles. Quadrantial angles are the ones, are basic ones that we use for a lot of stuff. The first quadrant angles are the ones you should memorize because all the other angles we can build off of those because of the symmetry involved and whatnot. Now, 1 degree is a 1/60th revolution. A right angle measures 90 degrees or a fourth of a revolution, right? So 0 degrees, you don't move. Or if you go around the full circle and you wind up on the initial side, so your terminal side is the same as your initial side, that's 1 full revolution or 360 degrees. If you wind up, your terminal side is the positive y-axis, then it's 1/4 of a revolution. So it's 90 degrees. And if you wind up back on the x-axis, but going in the negative direction, then that's a half a revolution. So that's 180 degrees. Please realize that all of these angles can be also thought of as going in the negative direction. So to get to the 90-degree angle position, you could also go in the negative direction. So a negative 270 degrees is the same as doing a positive 90 degrees because you wind up here. They both wind up at the same place. And just like a positive 180 degrees and a negative 180 degrees, you wind up on this axis here, on this terminal side. And this one down here at yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it is 12:41 now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we're on slide number 7. So, and I'll get back to that. If you have questions, please hang around and ask me questions if you have some. If you don't have any questions or you don't want to listen to if anybody else has any questions, then say goodbye. Let me go ahead.
Have a good one, Professor.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Have a great day.
All right. Yeah, the PowerPoint will be available as soon as I get it posted.
Do you
And the-
also upload the recordings?
Yeah, I'm going to be creating a YouTube channel for this course.
Okay. All
So-
right. I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, did
a
you
great
put
day.
your name in the chat?
Yes, somewhere in there, Rainy. I think I was the first one.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. All righty. Have a great day.
You too.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yes, can you go over the quadrants and quadrangles again, please?
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up. So back up a slide. Okay. All right, the quadrants, I guess that was this slide here. The quadrants are numbered for, the first quadrant is the upper right, and that's quadrant 1. And so then you go counterclockwise numbering them. So the second one is upper left, the third quadrant is lower left, and the fourth quadrant is lower right. Right. And if the terminal side winds up, whatever quadrant the terminal side ends up in, that's the quadrant it's from. So any angle in here is called a third quadrant angle. A second quadrant angle. Any angle that winds up down here in this area is a fourth quadrant angle. And same thing with the third quadrant and the first quadrant. So is that cool?
Yes. So basically just a quadrangle, I'm sorry, quadrant,
A quadrantial
quad,
angle.
yeah, quadrantal angle is just basically whatever.
Well, you talk about which quadrant the angle is in. So the third quadrant angle its terminal side is in the third quadrant. So it's down over here.
Okay.
A quadrantial angle is an angle that's on the axes. So 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, 360 degrees, and 0 degrees. Those are all quadrantial angles. That
Okay.
means it's on the axes. Its
Okay.
terminal side is on an axis.
Okay, I see what you're talking about. Anything that just falls in between the axes, and okay.
Yeah, that's what it states here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just.
Well, no, I wasn't very careful. I didn't make sure that I stressed that. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
okay. Anybody else? Okay, nobody else has a question? Yes.
I have one. You go ahead. So for further, just to like get it off the first day, is there any way that you can make your screen a little bit bigger?
This screen over here.
Yes, sir. Not the PowerPoint. Your work.
Yeah, I know. You mean this here. I will try. I will see what I can do. Let me see. Maybe I can.
It's a little bit difficult to see all the fine details of what you're doing, so figure it out right now rather than later.
Yeah, this is as big as it gets. So if you're having trouble seeing it, please let me know and I'll redraw it so it is more visible.
Okay.
Please be aware of the fact that the faster I write, the smaller I write. So if I start writing out like this big, and then I end up writing this small, and you have a hard time reading it because not only is my handwriting bad, it got so small you can't even make out what the letters are. Okay, so I know I do this. So, but I'm not always aware that I'm doing it while I'm doing it. So if that happens, please stop me and tell me I can't read it, Mr. Reed, and I'll fix it. Okay. Oh, crap. Yeah, sure, it's no longer active. Yes, it is. Oh, what are you doing? My stupid machine isn't doing this right.
Oh, sir. One more question.
Yes.
It's to do with the where's it at? The syllabus acknowledgement. So you say you just want us to download it, sign it, and then just email it back to you?
Yeah. You can do it that way, or you can do just type in an email that you've acknowledged, that you're acknowledging that you've read. Just basically copy what it says.
Okay, just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
what I made the, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I put it in as a what do you call it?
PDF.
A PDF file, and I should have left it as a Word document.
Okay, and you want to send it through Canvas, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead and communicate with me through Canvas because I check that daily. I even check it after hours. So yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. I really
And
appreciate
once my lab gets up, it sends me emails through my ACES, and that's where I'll respond to it through ACES. So you need to be aware that you'll get emails from me multiple from those two sources.
Yes, sir.
All right. Brian. Yeah. Well, you gotta wait. Hopefully it'll be up and running today. Or they said they were supposed to be ready by Monday, and well, you see that they lied. And so hopefully by Thursday it'll be up and running. But once it gets up and running, it'll just boom, easy to get into. So it all depends upon when they fix it. So I like the way they used to do it, which was I would give you the access code. So they'd give me the access code, and so then I would send you the access code for the class. And I would, as a matter of fact, I would put it in the syllabus what the access code for it was. But last semester they decided, the people who were handling it decided to go with Red Shelf, and they royally screwed it up. And this semester was supposed to be a lot easier because Barnes and Noble took it over. And from all indications, well, for my college algebra class, it went smooth as glass. But they were having troubles with the 1414 college algebra, the pre-calculus, and I think the calculus and some other class. They're having troubles with the MyLab. Where is it? Yeah, having troubles with this. Here, let me see. Let me do a reboot. Refresh, I should say. Because this is what I'm going to be doing all day. Nope, haven't fixed it yet. So once they fix it, I'll send an email out. Well, once I create the class. So after they fix it and I create the class, I'll send an email and an announcement out. Do y'all get emails concerning the announcements? Do you get them in ACES? Okay.
Like for when you make an announcement on Canvas?
Yeah, when I post an announcement, you get notified of it.
Yeah, you get I get notified on my Canvas email, and because I have the Canvas app on my phone, I get it in kind of like an email on my phone.
Yeah, I check
Okay.
my email daily, so I do get the updates.
Okay. So sometimes it's quite easy and sometimes, well, previous years, when I got an email in Canvas, I got a notification in my ACES email that I got an email in Canvas. They don't do that anymore. So I used to be able to go into the settings and where are the settings? Here are the settings. See, it's not letting me do it. So I got a bunch of emails here about MyLab and the syllabus. Oh, they're sending, yeah, syllabus agreements. And someone has a question about MyLab. So, oh, had trouble connecting to Zoom. Well, I missed that. Class already started, so, oh well, I'll get to them. All right.
All right, have a good day, sir.
You too. We'll see you Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
Okay. Rachel, you got any questions?
Is my audio working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Is there anything other than the syllabus acknowledgement that we need to do before Thursday?
No.
Okay,
And once I'm able to get MyLab up and running, I'll adjust those due dates about
Okay.
when you need to get things done by.
okay,
And it
Alright.
shouldn't, yeah, it's just getting in there and start working problems.
Yeah.
Once everybody signed in to MyLab, I won't drop people as long as they signed in there.
Okay.
But if people don't continue working in there, then we'll have the discussion about whether you should stay or not.
okay. All right. Well, you have a good day.
You too. Take care.
All right.
So now I get to close the class. Bye-bye.